everyone. Hope you all doing well. So, I remember when Obama got elected in 2008, and I knew what type of guy he was. And he was a community activist. He wasn't a leader. But I said, he got elected. Let's give him a chance. Maybe the enormity of the fact of being the first black president of the United States might drive him to lead responsibly. And then the very first day in office, all that hope got dashed. It was something about he went after a bunch of, he used the power of the office to go after a bunch of enemies of his that had offshore accounts. And that was his very first act in office. I said, okay, so this is how it's going to go. Then I walked up to my office and just sat down and started writing what it was like when I graduated high school, because I graduated high school in 1979, and I had just had my oldest graduate in 2007. He was in college, and I'm like, I'm not sure about his future, I mean, I'm really not sure about his future. And I'll admit, I was worried and depressed. And then I wrote down what it was like when I graduated high school. Interest rates were 18%. Buying a house, many houses, were sold more on creative financing than the actual price of the house itself, because the financing was so high. People were selling houses and assuming loans of the lower interest rate from 10 years or whatever it was before that. And again, in most cases, the price of the home was secondary to the financing. They, right before I got my driver's license, gas was like 35 cents a gallon. Then right after I got my driver's license, gas, I want to say it got up to $2 a gallon. I'm not sure exactly now what the price was, but I do remember the long lines and trying to figure out the unleaded versus the leaded, nozzles. And everybody had all these cars that required leaded gas, but all you could buy was unleaded gas. So every time you bought gas, you had to buy, lead and put it in the tank. And this went on for a while. In 1981, I joined the Air Force and was somewhat insulated from it. I was making a whole $501 a month. That was but I had a meal card and a dormitory room, and, so be it. Then my wife and I got married in '82. And I remember waking up the next day and opening up the paper, and a Chevy dealer, I was stationed at Beale in Yuba City, California, and the Chevy dealer in Sacramento, or Roseville actually, I think it was advertising these Chevy Chevettes for this price, and they were offering 12.9% financing. And I told the wife, I said, we got to buy this. We'll never see interest rates this low again. 12.9? You know, that was low at the time. We went down and we took all our money that we got from the wedding dance and gifts and everything else, used that as a down payment, and bought the Chevy Chevette for 12.9% financing. And we thought we were getting a great deal. There was a misery index. They actually had a misery index for you younger people that measured the misery of the country. I mean, everything was depressed. Up until about 1978, I grew up in a steel town. And up until 1978 or so, everybody graduated high school, took a week or so off, then went down and went to work in a steel mill, including many of my friends' older brothers. And I mean, you know, by comparable standards, you made a very good living working in a steel mill. I want to say, you know, take into account, again, this is 1976, 77, that you started out somewhere around 19, 20,000 a year just as a laborer in a steel mill until they could teach you a trade. My dad drove the largest crane in the world. Well, the largest two cranes in the world, the South and North Charger. My one uncle was a welder in a steel mill. My other uncle was a, what did he do? I think he's an electrician. Yeah, he was an electrician in the steel mill. And by then, I mean, you know, they were making 50, 60,000 a year, which by 1970 standards was a nice chunk of change. I mean, you could live comfortably. And that whole town revolved around that steel mill. Now, mind you, this was one of the larger steel mills in the country. Well, you know, that's all pretty much gone by now, thanks to government regulations. But in about 1978, you could no longer go down there and just work. Sporadically, they would open positions up, but it wasn't automatic like you used to. And I remember we had a teacher in high school, and we called him the hippie because he had long hair. He's the only teacher I ever seen in the school district that had long hair. But we all called him the hippie, but he was a good guy. And we were having a discussion one day, and he had gotten out of the steel mill, got his education, and went in to teach. And we were having this discussion with him, and he said, "Do you think that steel mill is security? That steel mill is not security. Your education is your security. That steel mill will go away someday." And we all laughed at him and thought he was crazy. What was that? I was probably 9th, maybe 10th grade before hammer started coming down on it. Thank you, Jimmy Carter. So we're nowhere near there now as we were at that time. And it's going to take a lot to even get us anywhere near there. And we plowed through that, and we'll plow through this. You just have to keep the faith. This is still America. We might have just acted like a banana republic, but in the end, we'll get back to being America again. All right, thank you all. Have a good day. Bye.